How is everyone? Just gonna give it a moment, let a few more people hop on. I'm gonna get my hat on. I'd love for you guys to add some questions you might have for me in the chat so we can talk about how the eclipse season is affecting everyone, because we are in the portal between two annual eclipses. We have the solar eclipse that we just moved through on the 17th, and on the 3rd we have a lunar eclipse, and on the 20th we had Saturn Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. So there's been a lot of astrological shifts and changes. I'd love to hear how everyone is feeling them. Heart the live, share the live. Let's get some of my moderators on here. Marjorie is sick today, so I imagine she won't be on here, but if Haley is, or Aaron, or any of my other mods, say hello so I know you're here. I did not straighten my hat today, and I hate when it's like all wonky like this. Bless be Jennifer. Thanks for hopping on. Hi Bella. Share the live, heart it up. Hi. Hello and welcome. Blessed be. Thank you, Melissa. So does anyone have any questions for me today? It looks like a whole different group of people. I don't see any of my regulars on. Well, I see a few of my regulars on here. But welcome. If I have never met you before, I'm Harmony. I am a solitary witch. I hold women's retreats to gather in coven and do ceremony and ritual with other witches. So I host retreats in Sedona, Arizona, and in Salem. Hi, Kelly, She-Wolf Tarot. How are you, beautiful sister? You've got me thinking about the Appalachian Mountains and all of that since we spoke. Hello, Leather Witch. Hello from Germany. Greetings. Bless be. Thank you for being here. I do not speak French. I'm sorry. Thank you, Nana. Hello in West Texas and South Africa. Do you guys have some questions for me today? Things you would like to talk about? let me ask you this. How is everyone moving through this beginning part of the year? What's my current obsession? It's probably not the healthiest obsession, but I have been reading the Epstein files. Most of you, some of you will know I have my work in the world is working with women on witchcraft, but also on healing from trauma. And you felt a little off. And so I have been reading up, keeping current on what's really happening in our world right now, which is a lot. And eclipse seasons, we have a few of them every year. And just like we have Mercury retrogrades every year, and we have one of those coming up soon. I believe it begins in March. So what eclipse seasons are about in my world is when the divine grabs the steering wheel of our life and turns the ship around, or turns the car around. And so during this, hi Erin, during an eclipse season, I'm being very gentle and very choosy on what rituals and ceremonies and spell work I'm doing. And I'm actually, hi Rebecca, I'm actually really being present with what's coming in for me, because I truly believe that the things that land in my world, in my sphere during this time. Did you guys hear that? I'm not sure what that was. But whatever lands in my realm during an eclipse, I take quite a bit of notice to. And so I'm not trying to steer the ship right now. Thank you, Haley. I'm not trying to steer the ship. I'm actually watching, witnessing, looking at what's coming, what we're coming towards, what we're moving towards, what's moving towards me. Now, a lot of people do spell work during and ritual and ceremony, and I'm not saying don't do any, but if you're a beginner witch, I say don't do any. And if you are a beginner witch and you want to do something, focus more on releasing, letting go, and being present for what's here. So maybe doing self-love. And the thing is, especially this year, you guys, is there is a collective shift happening energetically, and it's huge. The energy right now is massive. And oftentimes when the energy is heightened so much at an eclipse, and if we haven't done shadow work, even if we've done shadow work and there's a lot stuffed in the unconscious mind, and we're not addressing what's stuffed in the unconscious mind, and we do spell work, we're going to have energy result from that spell work that maybe wasn't completely what we intended. And that's where, intention, it's like this double-edged sword. Intention is everything, but intention is not everything. So I hope this makes sense, because yes, you have to have an intent. However, witchcraft is about energy, and the energy that you are working with is the elemental energies that are within and without. And one of our biggest energy drawing, let's call it an energy magnet, is in our unconscious mind. And so during eclipses, that energetic pull frequency around us it's bigger, it's expanding. Now, if we think about how eclipses work, it's usually the moon is crossing over, like the one we just had. It's crossing between the sun and the earth. And so the energy that's being amplified is actually shadow. So if you're doing spell work and you have not addressed your shadow, you may have some results because yes, the energy is amplified at that time, but it's really, you're probably going to end up having some backlash from it. And historically, the way most of our ancestors, whether you were a witch or any of, just there are, I hate to address one particular ancestral lineage or culture, but many of the cultures, let's put it that way, during eclipses in the past refrained from doing ritual and ceremony because of the amplified shadow during these times. And so this is a good time to be looking at what the divine is trying to speak to you and doing release, doing letting go ceremonies, rituals. Notice what is coming up. And instead of having the tendency to blame everyone outside of you, you take responsibility for the things that are the things that you would never consider looking at about yourself. Maybe things people have accused you of that you have never considered could be you. Looking at that and saying, am I actually not looking at something that may prevent me from moving forward? So this is a potent time. And again, I don't know if I've said this in this live yet, but I realize my opinion is not always the most popular opinion because people want me to come on here and say, this is a spell you need to do. This is what you need to do during this time. And I refrain from that. And I don't post a lot of spells and rituals on my page. And I only share them in my courses because I believe there's so much more to the craft than just hopping in and doing a spell. The spells get everyone excited, yeah, because they awaken something in you. But a lot of the spells that we're practicing are not even spells. It's more like they're folk magic, which technically is kind of a spell, but it was a way of working with the world, working with the way that people lived before the conversion. And as far as the craft goes, we all have the ability to be psychic, to be healers, to be oracles, but there are some of us that carry this within us naturally. And that's not to say that you have to have a particular gift to be a witch. Anyone can decide they want to be a witch and develop these gifts. It's just that living in a patriarchal society, we have in no way, shape, or form nourished these abilities and gifts that exist within most of us, particularly women or people born with a womb, because the womb carries an extra energetic amplification, let's say. And so I believe that's why historically we've seen more women as witches than men. And also, I believe the word witch has, it's just been whitewashed. Really, it truly has been whitewashed. And who originally was a witch was in Europe. And because of the witch trials the word witch and the finger pointing of you're a witch, it spanned across our planet. And it shows you when you look back at the witch trials that you don't need modern day technology, you don't need computers, you don't need anything. There is a collective consciousness that is real. And that witch wound proves that, because it spanned across the entire planet, which in the end placed anybody who had a womb or any other person or animal that portrayed magical abilities would be called a witch. And then they burned all of the pagan records. And when I say pagan, I don't mean a particular belief system. I'm speaking to before the conversion. And so because everywhere we had witches, now with modern day technology and everyone claiming they're witch, you know, I've seen this firsthand, to where I've had people diminish or try to get me to diminish the fact that I was a witch in years prior. And now in the past 5 years, with the rise of the witch, all of a sudden these same people who told me not to call myself a witch are now on social media making posts about what the witches do and who the witches are and aren't. And I really believe that's throwing a curve again and distorting who the witch really is. And that's why for myself, I'm not gatekeeping anything per se, but I am very protective over what I practice as the craft. And I honestly don't respect anyone that I see bashing Wicca, because I'm not Wiccan myself. But a lot of what we have as witches has been restored or protected or actually brought to what you're practicing today because of what those Wiccans did by compiling and making the craft a religion. And the reason I'm not part of Wicca is because it is a religion and I don't want to be told what to do. However, if the burning times came back, we would be protected under most religious freedom acts. So because of Wicca, we are protected and safe to practice the craft. And so even if you're not practicing Wicca and you consider yourself a witch, we need to have some respect for those who paved the path for us to be where we are today. Now, that said, especially during these times right now where everything is shifting, we're in the age of Aquarius. I know there's even people out there who will debate that we're not even in the age of Aquarius yet. I believe astrologically we are in the age of Aquarius. I think most people can look at the change in our planet and our society in the last 5 years and know we are in the age of Aquarius. And a lot of people think because of that song, This Is the Age of Aquarius, that we're going to experience all the light and love aspects of Aquarius. And that's not the case. There is a lot of shadow to Aquarius. And anytime you're bridging ages, there's going to be pushback from the people that do not want change. And patriarchy is so rooted into our actual DNA and our blood system that a lot of times we don't even realize things that we're saying, ways that we're living, judgments we have are actually rooted within us. And so during eclipse season, this gives the divine a time to uproot all of those shadow aspects that maybe we weren't conscious of. And it's so important to have a beginner's mind right now, to be humble enough to say, I don't know everything. I've been practicing the craft since I was 28, out of the broom closet, 28. I've been practicing the craft since I was like 15. I've known I was a witch since I was 5, and I will still tell you I don't know everything. And the reason I say I don't know everything, and there's no witch out there that knows everything, is because the craft spans so many cultures now that the folklore from each culture has become the modern witches lore or craft. And so for myself, I focus on trying to find the roots of who the witch really was in the beginning. And that was in the European countries. And, the oldest witch we have record of is biblical. And I mean, I hate that, but it is what it is. And I don't even know that, was that witch actually in there, or did they implement that in there when they created the Bible? Now, looking at the Bible, we very easily can discredit everything in the Bible being any sort of truth, because we know that before the conversion of pagan Europe, it was a pagan world where they believed in multiple deities, gods, goddesses, and just the way they lived was different than after the conversion. And because the actual history, I'm messing with my hat, sorry you guys, my hat feels so weird today. I should have steamed it or ironed it, and I didn't, so it feels weird on my head. Anyway, we know that if you read the Bible as history that was written during the pagan times, and they were just bringing it over and compiling it into a book, there's too much Christian narrative in that Bible that doesn't go with the pagan life that they lived. That alone tells you that they were writing things in. And then we have interpretation. When you're interpreting different languages, it doesn't always come through with the same meaning. And so I often question if that witch, the Witch of Endor, was actually a thing, or if they actually wrote that in. And we will never know, because all of the records that were in the libraries of Alexandria, which the scrolls originated from, that are biblical, were destroyed. Most of them were burned, and then some of them made it over to Rome, and those were destroyed as well. And the reason they were destroyed was because if they left those records, it would prove that they changed what was in the Bible that they were using to control the people. So it's very easly discredited that the Bible is accurate, right? There is history before the Bible. But what most people are living right now, and not all people, but any religion that focuses or uses the Bible is actually perpetrating a narrative, and I want to be careful how I'm going to say this, is perpetrating the narrative and what we see happening in the Epstein files. I say this because if you look at what they have you practicing every day, every week, when you go to church on Sunday, you're drinking the blood of Christ, you're eating the body of Christ. They're not actually giving it to you, but symbolically they are, because they don't have his body to do that. The Bible is full of grape consciousness. It is perpetuating the wound that we have, that we should blindly follow to be safe. And that's why I keep, I know my husband would probably tell you it's not the healthiest thing for me personally with my past to be reading it daily, those files. But for me personally, I know I need my mission, my role, my reason for being in this life at this time is to continue to remind people who they are, to come back to their center, and to not let you look away from what they want you to look away from. To remind you that you don't need to be scared, and because that's what they want right now. They want to make you like, this is too much for me, I'm not gonna look at this. And by saying it's too much and not looking at it, it kind of drifts off into the background, like has been happening for years. Just because these are out in the public eye and now we can read them does not change the fact of how long ago Epstein actually was in prison and tried for this, and Trump as well. So, you know, I've been worrying about speaking openly about how I feel about this stuff because I have a retreat coming in Salem and people coming from out of the country, and I don't want to cause any issue there, but I also realize if I don't speak to this, I am living in that shadow of fear myself, and I have stronger power than fear. And so I realized everything's going to go on even if I speak about this. They want you weekly eating the body of Christ and the blood because it normalizes sickening, disgusting practices. And I believe that they have taken a cult, meaning not a cult, but the occult, meaning what's hidden, what witches practice. They've taken those practices, and the reason that they were able to do this over the past thousands of years is because I do believe these kings and queens and leaders employed witches to help them. And because they employed them, they learned these rituals. And then they changed them into what we would now call satanic and demonic. Now, I don't know a lot about Satanism. I've actually heard it's not even actually about Satan. But I will tell you, the only reason I say witches don't believe in anything satanic or demonic, it's not that there aren't people out there that don't. There are people that label themselves witches that are working with demons. And demonology, I'm a little on the fence with because Lilith is considered a demon. So it's like, who actually is a demon? However, Satan and the devil is Christian mythology. That is Christian mythology. So even when you see someone practicing something you are calling satanic, that's a Christian mythology. It's a Christian way of being. And the Christians are famous for appropriation. They have appropriated everything from paganism and turned it and made it their own. My husband was looking yesterday at, he said, what actually is St. Patrick's Day? And he started looking it up. And then he was telling me, actually, St. Patrick's Day is Christian. And I'm like, of course, because it's a saint. And then he continues reading on and he's like, actually, there's pagan roots in St. Patrick's Day. Now, I wasn't paying a lot of attention to what he was doing, but there is roots, pagan roots in every single holiday that we are practicing here in the US. I am sure of it because they appropriated it. All right. Now, follow me here. So as far as I'm still referencing the Epstein files because, and Christianity and Satanism and what is actually true evil has been manipulated, twisted, woven into our society, especially here in the US, because this is considered a Christian nation, one nation under God. I don't even believe in God, but I live in this nation that is rooted in God. Yet we have religious freedom here. It's like those two don't even mix. Nothing mixes that is being put out there to us, and we have been taught to not question it. Well, everyone is questioning it now here in the US, but none of us know how to change this. And part of the reason I think we're not getting to the actual change, like there's minor things happening, but nothing with what is the true evil in on our planet. The tariffs are just fucking annoying, right? But the true evil is the person behind the one trying to make you so annoyed at tariffs that you forget about the true evil that is being passed down. The occult practices, meaning the hidden practices, not what we consider a cult today, not A-C-U-L-T. I'm talking about the O-C-U-L-T. Is it C-C? I'm a terrible speller. Anyway, the occult, that is witchcraft, just means the hidden. And it's hidden because the conversion of pagan Europe spanned the entire planet and became like this pandemic, okay? They appropriated all of our holidays. They also have appropriated what they learned from employing those witches over the years. So they took their rituals, they took their ceremonies that were for healing and empowerment, and they took those and they started putting their satanic twist into it. The satanic stuff didn't exist before Christianity. And I don't mean to offend you if you call yourself a Satan witch or whatever. I'm just speaking, I am a witch that practices the old ways. And so I am never looking at anything beyond the conversion of pagan Europe, which is Satan. That is mythology. But what I do see is that even before the conversion, there was a growing of patriarchy. Now, historically, we can guess when there was probably a matriarchy, but nobody talks about that. And the patriarchy further dug its heels in, I believe, by taking these what was once matriarchal practices of working with rituals and ceremony and the elements and twisted them and made them demonic, and they started using babies and women, and this fear around this, the fear was, are you going to be killed for being a witch? Because they needed to demonize, they needed to point the finger out. They were the wolves in sheep's clothing. They were saying, come over here to our church and pray every Sunday and eat the body of Christ and drink the blood of Christ. And let's hang a man on a cross bloody on a wall. And we are going to normalize this. And every person that goes to this church every Sunday and follows what's written in this Bible, this is the original intent they put on this, you guys. They made a spell in motion of that Bible, of Christianity. And so every week when you are sitting in that church, you are feeding the energetic thread from thousands of years ago that are keeping these men in leadership roles, that have kept the evil hidden. So you going to church and doing those blood rituals that you are doing, reciting biblical scripture, praising the death of an evil God that would kill his son, you are feeding that thread that is keeping them in power. I believe there truly was original rituals and spells they put in place, the original generational curse that is afflicting all of us comes from thousands of years ago, before the burning times, when they were shifting from matriarchal times to patriarchal times, and they put that in place, and every week you sit in church, you are amplifying and feeding that energy. That dark cloud of evil is lurking on our entire planet. And what you are seeing happen now is the more women are triggered and disassociated, their energy can be infiltrated by that evil. Meaning they become a walking disassociated human, allowing these people to stay in control. And if you're at church on Sunday praying and singing, you are feeding that cloud. And I'm using the word cloud as an example because what they created was an evil force. I love darkness, and I don't want to demonize darkness, so I want to use the word evil more than darkness, but in trying to get you to see what I see, it's like these entities that they created, because energy you don't destroy energy. We just recycle it. And so energy can grow the more you feed it. So the more fearful we are right now, the more disassociated we are right now, we actually feed their thread. Now, back to my original thing that I said when I started. If you're a beginner witch, even if you're a practiced witch, if you have not done a lot of shadow work, don't be doing ritual or spell work during this particular eclipse portal. Not because you're gonna accidentally unintentionally feed that evil cloud. Because you have not done the shadow work. And we began all of this with the biggest energetic magnet in you is the unconscious mind. Next to the womb space, if you are a female. So, or if you were born with female body parts. I want you to understand, I'm not trying to take your power away by saying don't do rituals and spells on the eclipse. I really truly believe eclipses are a great time for shadow work. And it's a great time for the divine to come in and turn the ship of our life around and head us in a direction that is going to benefit us most. This is why I have not been, I toyed with the idea of trying to get together a big group of witches to do the same spell, but I don't think there is enough that I could get together that have done enough shadow work that we could truly create the type of difference I want to create, especially during an eclipse, because that magnetic shadow of our unconscious mind being so strong and so much stronger during an eclipse that I do believe we can accidentally, unintentionally feed that thread of keeping them in control as witches. Just like everybody sitting in the Christian church, their intent is to be good. Why do I know that? Because I was raised in a church. Most of the people in the churches are not doing evil blood magic. They are accidentally supporting, they are like the energetic feeding tool, bowl of pasta that is nourishing the evil that they put in the world. So even though their intent is sitting in that church to gain forgiveness and to be okay in the afterlife, they don't realize what they are actually feeding is an energetic thread that began thousands of years ago. Am I making sense to you guys? Is this like coming together for you full circle? So shadow work is working on what is hidden from us. It's going into the things we don't want to talk about. Do you know most women and especially men who have sexual abuse in their past will not ever come out and say it, especially men, because they feel more ashamed about it, like it says something about their sexuality. Am I allowed to say that word on here, or am I gonna get like cut out? But most women won't come forward until they're 40. And because of this, there is the wound you are carrying in your unconscious mind of abuse, of grape consciousness. And so when you sit down to do a spell for wealth or money during the eclipse, and your biggest energetic magnet is the unhealed wound from when you were graped as a child or as a teenager or any time in your life, then that is what is going to be amplified into our energetic reality. So this is where I'm saying we are unintentionally, especially when we're doing like, the spells, the binding, like I've done binding for the water freezing. I've done binding for the governmental powers that be, but I am being very, very freaking careful with what I am doing, because I understand generational curses. For those to actually stop, the entire bloodline of that curse a lot of times has to pass on, and the energy goes with it, unless there are enough people from that thread pushing back. And I believe that can happen. I do believe that can happen. I've had so many visions of this planet being different than what it is. I know it is possible. Will I see that in my lifetime? I don't know. When I look at the enormity of what is being exposed to us here in the US, what we have to remember is I believe more people than not are not looking at those files. And what that is allowing is it's allowing them to not actually fully see the extent of the disgust, and not allow them to critically think about where it began. And so they keep going to church. They might be like, yeah, I'm against that. This isn't political anymore, it's human rights. And then they sit in the church with the intent of being good. That's why I say intention isn't everything. The biggest spell put in place started thousands of years ago. And they made it so everyone sitting in church is feeding that spell, keeping these sick people in power, harming children. It is disgusting when you read what is in there. It will make you feel like vomiting. We, as a collective, need to talk to other people, and not in a way where we're fighting and coming up against one another, where we are actually coming together. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat and Republican, because what is in these files is planetary. It is almost every country. So we need to come together as a collective humanity, and we need to normalize sharing our own trauma. So the biggest shadow we all have is uprooted. I hope this is making sense to you guys, because it like takes me so long to explain this. I look at everybody's posts they're putting out there, and I'm not seeing anybody talking about this original thread, but it's like, I would have to make a post that's an hour long. To get people to listen to me that long is not going to happen. I was even thinking like, yeah, Beetlejuice, great. I'm glad you rebuke me. Go drink the blood of Christ and eat his body and keep feeding those files. If there is someone on here, please mute that person. Thank you, Aaron. It's like, are we ready to see this? Are we ready to see it? Because we've been given bits and pieces of truth from as far back as I can see. I started noticing it was 8 years ago. It probably was before I noticed it. And 5 years ago, a friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, we keep talking about this because in 2020, her and I, there was this red sun, and I was standing outside the salon I worked at, and I walked out, and I like froze. And it was like my entire body, actually it was 2019, November when that happened. And something came over me. I was on the phone with her and I was just stopped in my tracks and was like, holy shit, Carrie, something's coming. Something's coming. And I thought when COVID came, it was COVID. It was not COVID. It's everything that is happening right now. And that feeling I had was this warning of, you've got to get in your center. And that's what we need to do right now, is focus on keeping our feet on the ground and not looking away. Because the burning times didn't stop just because the leaders basically got tired of the catty accusations, which basically that's what they say when you try to research why they actually stopped. They attribute it to the leaders. I promise you, it wasn't the leaders. It was the people. And I don't believe all the people were cheering those trials on when it was their family that was being burned alive. There had to be enough people willing to not look away. And it's been a slow time coming for the exposure of what we are seeing now. Just 5 years ago, if you looked at any of this stuff, you were blamed for being a conspiracy theorist or part of QAnon. I looked at everything that was in QAnon and was like, I can't go for this. But what I was seeing back then in 2019, 2020, and my friend and I, it was almost like we were on the same wavelength where we were having dreams about these children. And that's what, now that this is exposed, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what I was dreaming of. I believe I was astral traveling and witnessing what was happening. I don't even know that it was a dream anymore, but her and I talk about it because we're seeing now what we were being shown then, which reiterates the fact for me that even though I've got people on my thread, like people daily on IG telling me like, enough with the political shares, and I'm like, this is not political. They're telling me they want to see more witchcraft. It's like, this is what it means to be a witch. It is terrifying the amount of people that are going to church and they don't realize that they are actually feeding this thread. And even with the files all being brought out, they probably still wouldn't believe me. But I'm telling you, the evil that these people are practicing, it's been going on for thousands of years, and it is woven into every country's society and government. The change that is going to need to happen is a massive burning down of everything. Don't feed that thread. Don't feed the entities that, you know how many entities are created is an entity. There are entities, I do believe, that are from other dimensions, but I believe there are entities on this planet that are is evil energy that is grown with society as generations die off and new ones are reborn, and they just keep feeding this thread of evil, and the thread is taken on a consciousness of its own, and then it kind of breaks off and creates these entities that they are actually working with. And I know this probably sounds woo, and they are sucking the energetic fear and rage and anger out of humanity. I know this sounds woo, you guys, but I'm trying to say to you what I see and what Spirit's been telling me for multiple years. We have to be careful what we are feeding energetically. And that doesn't mean shove it down, because what we are seeing is vile. It should invoke rage in you, but nobody knows how to process the rage. Hi, Margie. I thought you were sick. I didn't think I was going to see you today. I hope you're feeling better, sister. Now I lost my train of thought. What they are doing is vile. It should invoke rage. So I'm not telling you to not be angry. You should be angry, but don't let it make you look away. You've got to find a way to transmute that anger and use it as fuel, because the anger in its raw form will feed those evil energies and entities that have been around for thousands of years. And that's why I'm saying I believe the biggest generational curse that has ever been placed upon society is what we are seeing play out. Call it a generational curse or a generational spell, and it gets amplified by your fear, by your terror. And so and we've not been taught how to process rage, because we don't connect to the earth, because rape consciousness has ruled us, and therefore we have constantly been living disembodied. This is where spirituality and just meditating yourself off the planet isn't what we need. It's not bypassing everything with light and love. Do you know the sickness that exists on this planet? The things that I've been told by women that they use to bypass the pain that has been inflicted upon them as children. It breaks my literal heart. I had one woman tell me she actually thanked her father for raping her because he initiated her into her sexuality at a young age, and now she uses that energetically. Fuck that. I am sorry, the things that I have heard, it is fuck that in an absolutely heartbreaking way. The things that women tell themselves, that they feed themselves to be able to exist on this planet with the trauma that happened to them. It is messed up, it's fucked up, but it was the way she was surviving. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And if you haven't worked with your trauma, then you're probably expressing it in some backwards way as well. It's sad, and it's keeping that thread fed. Our bypassing our pain, the fact that we disassociate so hard that we only remember trauma through dreams reoccurring, through blip visions that come to us. So how do we transmute the rage? Thank you for asking that question. First, you've got to get in your body and realize that underneath the rage, there is sadness. Rage is actually the deepest sadness you will ever feel. But it's transmuted into the fire, into the rage, because it feels more empowering to be enraged, right? Then it feels more disempowering to cry. But the emotion that really is there is this deep sadness. If you can't come into your body and feel for yourself and love yourself, then how will you ever transmute it? And most of us can't get in our body. We are so in our head. We actually need daily practices of coming into our body so that we can transmute it. So the first practice of transmuting it is being in your body. Our body is protecting us. One of the biggest things I learned when I was I just stopped looking at the scale when it hit 100 pounds overweight when I was in my 20s. But the biggest thing that I learned about that weight was I would never lose it until I was willing to rise up for my own inner child. And until I rose up for my own inner child and said, I love you, I fucking got you, I am not gonna let anyone else hurt you, take your power away from you the way that was done when you were a child and when you were a teenager. And that weight was actually protecting me. My body was doing the best it could to protect me from the amount of trauma I experienced as a child. And so I had to go inward. So when you ask, how do we transmute it? You're not just going to go outside like I do and stand there and put your hands to the ground and say, please take this from me, Earth Mother. Recycle it and return it anew. It might take some of it, but most of us are not even connected to the earth because we are not in our bodies. Because that's why our bodies are gaining weight, is because they're trying to protect us, and it's probably getting worse right now. And if you're underweight, it's the same thing. Your body's like, take control, take control. Both are ways that we are trying to gain control of the situation, when really we need to cry for ourselves. We need to be angry for not being protected. And every time you drop into that sadness and allow yourself to feel it, you come down and into your body a little more. This is why, as a witch, I learned to teach yoga, which is a practice that originates in India and part of their religious practice. And I try to do it justice the way I teach it. But nothing on this planet has gotten me into my body the way yoga has. It's like we have to get quiet in our head and move our body. And by doing that, the energetic pain comes up. It's like when you're getting a massage, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you're getting a massage and all of a sudden someone's massaging your shoulder and you burst into tears. What is that? That's because someone was massaging, nurturing this area of your body so much that part of your body unlocked a piece of trauma to be transmuted by that massage therapist. And they held that space for you, but you don't need someone else to hold that space for you. I've had it where I've had an energy worker pull on my leg, and we were literally laughing and talking when he was adjusting me. and pulled on my leg, and I went from laughing to hysterically crying, and my husband was in the room, and he was like, he thought he like broke my leg or something, but it was an energetic release that was trapped in my hip. I, to this day, have never had a bigger release. And my husband wanted to grab me and touch me and hold me. And the energy healer, who was this older man, was like, no, don't touch her. Let it, like, you have to feel those emotions. But everybody's response is to touch everybody and make it okay. We need to allow ourselves to cry. The massage therapist or the healer, usually when that happens, will step back and energetically assist you in clearing that energy now that you've allowed yourself to feel it. But do you know how much you have stored in your body energetically that you need to feel? So releasing it means coming into your body and allowing yourself to be sad, and then connecting with the earth. You came out of anesthesia crying like a baby. You know what? My therapist just told me this. I haven't been to see her in like a year, and I kind of was like, wow, like my insurance has changed. Now I have to pay this much. I'm not going to go see her. But with everything coming out and me reading these files daily and some stuff going on in my extended family, like I needed to go back in. And when I went in, I had had surgery last year, and she was telling me the exact same thing. When you go in for surgery, because I actually had some reoccurring dreams start again after my surgery of having my breast implants removed. And she said it's actually very common for anesthesia to bring up repressed memories. And it's because your mind, like the ego, gets shut off, and you're that energetic, it's right there to come out. So you coming out of anesthesia crying like a baby, that's something was trapped inside you, that it took your ego's protection. And that's where it's like, don't hate on the ego. It's not death of the ego. But the ego's just protecting you. That's why you're out of your body. That's why you're staying in your head. There are so many ways that we are protecting, our ego is protecting ourselves. And when I talk about either starving ourselves or overeating and gaining weight, it's all protection forms that the ego is attempting to protect you from trauma happening to this body again. So you have to love the ego, but you have to teach the ego that you are safe. Now, how do you become a safe person for that ego? Your ego is not, one of the biggest ways I learned this was 10 years ago when I had to be willing to tell my husband to get out. It was like, I was 40 and fabulous, and did this 30-day yoga journey, which ended in my husband and I splitting up, and everybody was like, Harmony's lost her mind. My family was saying I fell down a wormhole in Sedona. And it was like, no, I cannot stay in a marriage where I am mistreated and at the same time teach my inner child that I am a safe person to be with. And so for my husband, what that meant was either you go to therapy and you change, because I'm already doing the work and going to therapy, but I can't stay with you being the person you are to me. So me protecting my inner child and healing the rage and the sadness meant me telling my husband, it was either he start working on himself, which he did, and years of therapy later, like, we're better than we ever have been. But I truly thought we weren't going to make it through that time. But that was one step of me protecting my inner child and allowing me to come into my body. Then that's over years and years of working with coming into my body. Now I can come onto the earth and connect with the earth. Like, I truly believe there's more ways that I can even live in greater alignment with our Earth Mother. Our society makes that very hard to do. But there are so many ways that we can connect to the earth. But you can go recycle all your plastics. You can turn your water off and use very little water, and you can do all of these things, and really you're not connected to your earth. Because to be connected to the earth is to be connected to your physical body. Your physical body is a mirror of the earth. Your relationship with the earth is mirrored through your relationship with yourself. So if you're only going to tend to the clothes that you put on the body, just like you're only going to tend to recycling with what's going on the earth, you're not actually making a true connection. You have to learn to live in your body. You have to learn to be quiet and be able to sit with yourself. So moving your body is one of the best ways to transmute the anger. And why I say movement, whether that be yoga, ecstatic dance, moving that energy is going to allow you to come into your body. And then you make sure that when you're done with, if you're doing a rage dance, you know, one of the things I teach in my courses is a rage dance. It's like, this is something you should have always, is a playlist with songs that invoke that rage. And you stomp your feet and you move your body in erratic ways. You bang your head. And what this does is it uproots that energy that's been so stuck. And then at the end of that rage dance, you have a song that is soothing and calming. And then you bring yourself to that song and you hum. So maybe you were screaming during the rage dance and you were stomping your feet, and then all of a sudden a soft song comes on. So you balance your nervous system out and you clear the energy. You start burning some incense. Maybe you have a feather, you're wafting the energy. You open the windows so the energy can move. And then you're shifting that energy that you just uprooted, that is a lot of trauma. And you're actually bringing your hands to your body and you're humming and you're rocking, and you're actually teaching your nervous system that it's okay to express anger and rage. And you can actually shift that anger and rage into a nurturing, soul balancing time. And so after you move that energy, if you're doing it in a dancing way, then you're actually coming to yourself and you're saying, this vessel is safe. My body is a safe space to be. And you breathe in and you breathe out and you feel your toes and you feel your fingers. And it's important to transmute that energy, and that's why I'm saying to burn some incense, but not even just burning the incense, opening the windows and humming, you know, ringing a bell. It starts to shift that energy from low level energy to an energy of nurturing and healing. Yoga is a slow process of needing to return to your mat again and again, and the only way yoga can have you do that same thing like a rage dance would do is by continuing to show up on your mat daily, and by continuing to target similar muscles, similar fascia and tissue. Eventually the body releases it. And yoga is really great about opening you up spiritually as well. And that's why I really love yoga. So there's multiple ways that we can transmute the energy, but we need some practice of transmuting it. Going outside, taking a few deep breaths, connecting to the earth to the best of your ability, but also journaling what is actually coming up for you. I learned a long time ago that when we resist journaling or writing, we're actually resisting the channel, we're resisting our soul and the message of our higher self. Because when we write, we are actually connecting to our heart. And the reason that is because in our mother's womb, our hands grow from our heart. And so our heart, our hands are a direct extension of our heart, and the heart is the seat of the soul. So when you are writing and pouring out onto the paper what has upset you, you're actually moving that energy from the unconscious mind. When you talk about it in talk therapy, you're moving it so then other memories can surface as well. But shadow work should be a continuous work for all of us. There's no graduating from therapy. There's no graduating from shadow work. There is so much within us, even if we get to all of the trauma that was ours. Underneath that is the trauma of our ancestors. But first, we need to work on our trauma, because our trauma is a mere reflection of our ancestors' trauma. We're just playing it out in a different movie, but it's the same wound. I don't know what we can do to massively break down everything on our, I'm trying to stay hopeful and not hopeless, because when I really try to think about what can change things on this planet, and I actually see people going to church more because of what they are seeing in the files be released and what they're reading. It's like they're reading about the trauma and then they're going and feeding what is keeping it going, and they don't even realize it. And even if I told this message to the entire collective of people, not all of them would be ready to receive it or hear it. They don't realize the blood magic is in Christianity. It's not, the evil blood magic was never in witchcraft. You know, I always am returning to the 13 powers of the witch, which was given to Aradia by Diana for when the Roman Empire was oppressing people. She gave them those powers to protect the people. You know, everything I speak about, and even my beliefs in the craft, are all rooted around where the wound stems from. And this is why, you know, people are out there like, I don't believe in the law of three. It's like, then you don't know witchcraft. I mean, you don't have to call it the law of three to know that it doesn't have to be exactly three. You guys get so freaking analytical. It's like you're using witchcraft like you use the Bible. All the law of three is reminding you of is that it's going to come back to you energetically. And what about the creed of witchcraft, as do as you will, if you do no harm? And people are like, I don't believe in that. And it's like, Wicca's not telling you that if your spell results in the harm of someone, it doesn't make it wrong. Sometimes someone has to be harmed for that spell to be done. Aradia gave the witches, the people, the 13 powers of the witch to protect themselves. One of those was a curse. If it gets to the point where you have to curse to protect oneself, and that results in harm, then so be it. What the law of with harm to none, it just means that your initial intent is not to harm, which a lot of witches are using the fact that they're not Wiccan and they don't believe in the do no harm thing to bypass energetic law. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. If you come into that spell with pissed at your ex and wanting to harm him, it's not going to work out good for you in the end. If you are going to a spell to curse someone because you are trying to protect our society, that's a different thing. You're not going into that spell wanting or with the intent of harming. You are going into the spell with the intent of protecting. How that is done, you turn that over to the goddess. And the way you know it is a appropriate time to curse or hex is by petitioning the goddess, which does not mean asking a goddess that's outside of you. It means asking what is within you, connected to you forever and ever. Your creator, your source is connected to you. So asking that part of you, is this what needs to be done? And then be willing to do what you are directed to do. But most witches, it takes years and years of shadow work to be able to fully get clear with that voice and listen to that voice and not get that voice mixed up with the voice of the ego. So this is where I say, like, okay, I've been talking about how Christianity, like the people sitting in church on Sunday, are accidentally feeding the powers, the blood magic, the rituals, the sick stuff that's going on while we're at home eating dinner in our nice, comfortable home, when babies are being tortured and women are being raped and life is going on. The reason we can do that is because of the amount of people that are continuing to feed the energy that they put in place thousands of years ago. And witches are unknowingly doing this just as much as Christians are doing it. And I'm sorry, people are probably going to hate on me for this, for saying it, but it's true. And that's why I have not been out there yelling for everyone to do a spell together, because I believe that what's being triggered is our biggest magnet right now. So by those files being released, the biggest magnet in our unconscious mind is being triggered, and therefore what we are putting out is triggers all over the place, and the energy of pain and suffering and hiding and all of this, and it's jumbling the energy. And so while they're triggered, then they're doing a spell and they're banging their anger and rage into the spell, not as fuel, as a reason why they are doing it. They're putting their anger out there for the elites to feed off of. And that's what they intended. Thank you very much. That's why they said, well, fuck, just let the files be released, because they know this stuff. It's no joke when people have noticed online, these elite people who are using hand signals and different things, it's no joke that they have appropriated yet something else and turned it evil. So for myself, I feel like since I started reading these files, I am having to stay in my own energy a lot and be a little more quieter than I normally am. I'm not texting people the same that I normally am, because I really am paying attention right now to what's being brought up in my energy field. And a lot of stuff that comes to me, because I am a priestess, is stuff that is brought to me and confidentially, so I can't share it with you guys, but there's a lot of people out there, a lot of women that have trauma they've never talked about, and they're afraid to talk about it. We all need to become safe spaces for people. If they don't have a therapist and you're their friend, we need to stop doubting people when they come to us with things, because the reason most women hold this stuff in is because they're afraid of other people's judgments. So especially us women, we need to become a safe space for other women. And you know, sometimes being that safe space for other women doesn't look like what we have been taught it would look like. We think because we've been raised in this patriarchal society that to be a safe woman, you've got to be a yes girl and you've got to be sweet and kind all the time and have no boundaries. And that's not the case. To be a safe woman, you've got to have boundaries. You've got to have self-respect. If you don't have boundaries, then that's when trauma dumping happens. When you are a safe space and you are a healthy empath, people can bring to you whatever they want and you do not take it on as yours. Healers couldn't work professionally as healers if they were unhealthy empaths because they would be taking on your shit all the time. I'm a hairdresser by trade, and so many hairdressers go get Reiki certified, not because they're interested in spirituality, but because they are working with people on a level of that a therapist does, and they are hit a point in their career where it's either I'm going to quit because people are draining me and I can't take it, or I've got to find a way to transmute this. And I've worked in hair 30 plus years and I see it all the time. Hairdressers get absolutely drained from the energetic, emotional dumping that happens with them. And that's why you have to have healthy boundaries for yourself, but also you will be triggered and take on other people's shit if you have not worked on your own shit. The reason I can sit with people who have immense sexual trauma is because I have sat with my own wounds. When I was younger and I hadn't sat with my own wounds, when someone would talk to me about their trauma, I would shake like this minute, a bad nervous system response of shaking. And now that I've worked years and years on my physical body, releasing physical energy and actual working with a therapist for years, I can sit with, that's why I say I can go toe to toe with anyone else's demons and not be triggered, is because I've sat with my own. So if you have not sat with your own trauma, you'll never be able to be that safe space for another woman. Eventually it will go sideways. So it's tricky, and it's kind of a messy time to be in the world, and it's confusing on how do I let myself be angry but not let them feed off my anger. And that's by having these daily practices like journaling, moving your body, reading your cards, burning some incense, spraying rose water around you. There needs to be some daily practices in place that never change. They become as important to you as it is to brush your teeth and shower. Who prioritizes their spiritual practices the same way they prioritize showering and eating and brushing their teeth? Yeah, I can say I am guilty of not prioritizing my spiritual practices the way that I prioritize eating, sleeping, drinking, brushing my teeth and showering. I go in waves where I will be like on it and doing, that's why I'm named Harmony, because my biggest life challenge, one of them, is balance. And that's because I become obsessed and go full in, and I will be yoga every day for 30 days. I am for 3 years at my altar every morning. And then all of a sudden, because I never gave myself a break or let myself go with the flow, then I'm like, I'll go 3 months without sitting at my altar at all. I think a lot of us do that. We like go full steam ahead and then we like burn out. And so it's having those practices that are like brushing your teeth. But you know what? If you have that one night where you're like, I'm just too tired and I'm not going to get up and brush my teeth before I go to bed, that's okay. And if you have that one day where you're just like, I just can't sit at my altar today, I don't have the time, that's okay. But more days than not, right now, especially because of what is happening, what is transpiring on our planet, we need to be prioritizing our spiritual practices that are not feeding the elites. Anything to do biblical, in my mind, is feeding the elites, because that is their handbook. That is their handbook. They kill children in that Bible. Have you read about it? If you've been Christian, you've read about it. They kill children in the Bible. So think about what is biblical. What you are holding on to. Do you remember, Haley, when they put blood on people's doors so the firstborn child wouldn't be killed? What the fuck is that? The hand freaking book for what they are doing is that Bible. I'm telling you, they have confused our society and manipulated and gaslit you all so bad that you don't know it, that everyone that's sitting in church today does not know they are anchoring the evil and darkness. It doesn't matter how you twist that message that is in the Bible. They killed the firstborn child. We need to think about this stuff. I would like to see I just don't see any other way than our complete church and governmental system completely crumbling. The biggest manipulation that has been done on this planet has been done in our churches. And they keep teaching the people that witches are evil. And modern mainstream social media, pop culture is continuing to make what the Christians say about witches true by being a Satanistic witch or any other type of witch that is actually utilizing Christianity. The only reason we see an influence of Christianity in the craft at all is because that's how the witches hid in plain sight and were not killed. In modern days, we don't need to do that. We don't need to weave those Christian concepts, those Christian mythologies that are rooted in evil and feeding the darkness. Not the darkness. I keep saying I'm not going to use the word darkness because I like dark. I like black. I like night. Evil is different than darkness. And because even using that word darkness as a bad thing, it makes us resist the biggest unconscious magnet, that is our unconscious mind. They are hypocrites, but the thing is that the thing I see about people in church is that I really think in their heart, you know, I have friends that go to church and I really believe they just don't understand what I am saying. And for whatever reason, I was born someone who questioned this shit since I was a kid. Other people, it takes until there are adults to start questioning it. I questioned it since I was a kid. It took me till I was 28 to all of a sudden realize I don't have to be a part of that church. I get to do what I want. So we all have to go through our process. Most people that are in churches, I don't think they just are trying to do the right thing. Most people really do love other people. They don't realize what they've been manipulated into doing. And that's the sad thing, is that manipulation is a form of survival. And so a lot of people manipulate other people, but we learn to do it by going to church. So I'm not demonizing Christians or saying hate all the Christians, because if we just hate them, they'll never get the message. But when we come to people with an open heart and they're ready and they're willing to listen, we might be able to make a real change. But, you know, it's the same thing with witches. There are, you know, witches out there that hate what I share and hate what I say, and they try to, you know, hi kitty, come on. They try to justify everything they do because they can't have a beginner's mind. The reason why I call my whole business Mystic Witch is because I learned that the only thing a mystic knows is they know nothing at all. And all that means is you're open to having a beginner's mind. To what you once believed was true, you find on a new day is not true. And you allow yourself to let go of whatever it was you believed before to open up to what you know about now. Come on, you can jump up here. Jump up here. Come on. Come on. Is it time to cast a circle? Is it time to cast a circle? This is Kitty, my ornery little boy. The purrs, he is very purry. He's very hairy too. I'm going to be covered in cat hair momentarily. You guys can hear him purring. How sweet. All right, you guys, do you want to cast a circle? So I cast a circle when I come live on Sundays, and the way I cast a circle is it's a circle of empowerment and protection. If you would like to take part in this, you just have to tap or write, not tap, but write in the chat, yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, I claim this, whatever it is you want to write, or say it out loud in your room. Find a place that is quiet, that you will be undisturbed and alone. And when we cast a circle, I call in deities as archetypes to surround you. We do this in like a meditative form. So when I want you to either be lying down or sitting up with your spine long, meaning if you're lying down, you can't curl in a little ball. If you are sitting with your spine long and straight, have your legs uncrossed, because when we cross our legs or our arms energetically, or we are closing off our energy field. So the way I cast the circle is it is a collective circle, but it's cast for each of us individually. So by you saying yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, is saying that that circle can be cast around you. I'm casting a circle of deities that will remain with you, as well as the elements earth, air, fire, water, and we call in your higher self. And these are all archetypes that exist within you, and they move around you kind of like they're protecting you. They're creating an army around you. And it will stay open. The circle will stay sealed. Sorry, not open. It will stay sealed until you lie your head down to sleep tonight. When you lie your head down to sleep tonight, I cast the circle in a way that it will be opened as soon as you go to sleep, but this circle will not be broken. It will diminish. And then throughout the week, the information brought into you while you're in this circle space, which I lift the circle up to the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness. Now, we don't want to go around in our everyday life in the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness, because we would be disembodied, right? Because we're up and out. So the way I cast the circle is I bring you up and out for an extended period of time, and then when you go to sleep, you come back down and in and integrate the wisdom that you received in that transcendent state. the hope is that by lifting that space up and you partaking in the circle casting, you will be in a protected space today and an elevated mind space, that the ego isn't guiding you, that your higher self is giving you the information you need, which the information you need would be like answering some of the questions here. What do I need to do to be able to stay wide awake, not look away, help the greater good, not feed the evil, and all of that? I'm going to grab a drink of water and then we're going to cast this circle. So please be in a quiet space. If you can put earphones in, put those earphones in, and we will get started. All right. If you would like to join in the circle casting, please just type in the chat, yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, I claim this. Otherwise, you are welcome to just watch and listen. I guide this like a guided meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes. Lengthen your spine. Take a deep breath in through your nose, sealing your lips, inviting this breath to move throughout your entire body. So you do that by bringing awareness to your fingertips and your toes as you inhale. Hold at the top. Continue holding and take in one more sip of air. One more sip. And open your mouth and audibly let go. The sound you make when you exhale assists the release. So sealing the lips at the bottom of the exhale and slowly inhaling through your nose. Make this the slowest, most intentional inhale of the day. Notice the air move through your nostrils, into your throat, moving past your heart, deep into your lungs, into your belly, your womb or your hora, your pelvis, down your legs to the tips of your toes, down your arms, your wings, to the tips of your fingers. Hold at the top. Continue holding. Continue holding. Part your lips and audibly exhale out your mouth. Keep exhaling, squeezing your abdominal muscles to expel any last drops of stagnant air. Then seal your lips, pause before inhaling, and then inhale quickly through your nose. Fill up your whole body till you can't take in any more air, and then pause, soften your shoulders, soften your hips, soften your legs and your arms, then exhale. Again, squeezing your abdominal muscles to expel every last drop of stagnant air out of your body. And then allow your breath to reset to a beautiful pace and rhythm that feels natural for you. Just notice how your body feels differently after taking those 3 deep breaths. Oftentimes, releasing the rage or the sadness just looks like 3 conscious, deep breaths. Right now, are you feeling a little more present within your body? Recognizing you have toes and fingers. We often walk through our days without even noticing our feet and our legs are carrying us, doing so much work. So let's just pay attention for a moment to our legs. And then thinking about what our hands actually do for us in a day. So paying attention to our arms and our hands. And we don't usually give ourselves time to say, thank you legs, thank you feet, thank you hands for carrying me through the day. And now you're going to bring your awareness to your heart, because another place in our body that we don't pay attention to, it's doing a lot for us on a daily basis is our heart. So maybe bringing your hands to your heart for a moment, to your chest where the grief is held. And maybe if you feel like you've been absorbing a lot of anger, bring a right hand to just under the breast area to the right side of the rib cage. This is where your liver would be, and your liver and gallbladder, they hold repressed anger and rage. So you're holding this part of your body that holds grief and sadness with your left hand, and your right hand is holding the space where you hold anger. Take a deep breath here on your own. And then say to your heart and your liver, I love you, heart. Thank you for all you do for me in a day. Thank you for keeping my compassion alive. Thank you for staying open amidst so much chaos and pain and trauma. Thank you, liver, for feeling the rage, the anger. But I've got you now. I've got you, heart. I've got you, liver. Breathe deeply. And as you exhale, drop your hands down by your side. And with this exhale, release anything your heart and your liver were holding. Release the grief. Release the anger. And just be here in this present moment where everything's okay. Notice your heart beating. Can you feel it beating? Notice that with your eyes closed, you find yourself within darkness. And as we gather together in this darkness, I call forth circles of light to surround us now across mountains and deserts, cities and oceans, countries, states, freeways, highways, rivers. These circles of light connect us as sovereign individuals and as a collective. Noticing the colors of the circles of light that surround you within the darkness, without wondering what they mean or judging them, just noticing them, creating space for you within the darkness. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Find yourself within your mind's eye. See yourself sitting in the center of this dark space with only one thick, vibrating frequency of light surrounding you, protecting you. As I call forth the guardians of the watchtowers of the north, south, east, and west to witness over the casting of this sacred circle today. Guardian of the north, keeper of earth, I invoke the elements and the spirits of earth to join us now. Keeper of the crossroads, keeper of the keys, mother of witches, blessed be. She comes to us, creating space within the sacred circle in the north, in all her glory, in all her darkness, with one torch, one flame, the sacred light within the darkness, representing the Divine Mother of all life. She comes to us, reminding us that in our highest form, we, like her, are a torch of light within the darkness of our own body, mind, heart, and soul, within this planet, this earth school. In our highest expression, we are the earth. We are humans learning to be divine. And we are souls learning to be human. Bless us as we call your name. Hecate, 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 Hecate. Guardian of the northeast, keeper of the rising sun and the sacred wells, she who holds the flickering light within the darkness, she who invokes the essence of hope, the sun will rise, lighting each new day, and so shall humanity continue to rise to a new day. Bless us as we call your name, Bridget, 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 Bridget. Guardian of the east, keeper of air, I invoke the elements and the spirits of air. She of 10,000 spells, she of 10,000 names, mother of humanity, nourishing, holding us within the gentle breeze that blows, clearing the energy around our physical body. Today, she comes forward with her ostrich feather fan, and she is circling this feather around your body. And then she is gently wafting the feather from your left arm to your right, and the right arm to your left. And then from the crown of your head, down your face, down the front of your body, she takes the feather on the inside of your arm, along the armpit, and down the side body on the left and the right. She moves behind you and takes the feather fan and moves it from the crown of your head down your body to the ground, and then moves from the right arm to the left arm to the right, and then she takes her hands from the base of your spine and drags them slowly up your spine to the base of your skull, and from within the spot at the base of your skull, black angelic wings blossom out from around you, reminding you of your power to be both the light and the dark within the recesses of your mind. She reminds you of the ability to bring all of the pieces of oneself back together and create a whole new version of you, a whole new reality. Bless us as we call your name, Isis, 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 Isis. Guardian of the southeast, keeper of sovereignty, she who walks the way without needing to explain themselves, realizing through her story that your story is yours and yours alone, that no one else decides the story. No one else decides how you walk with your truth. Only you. You are no one's victim, and you are no one's punisher. She reminds you that you are the creatrix of this sovereign reality. Every choice you make within the mind's eye is the fire within your heart that burns passion to leading the new way. Bless us as we call your name, Rhiannon, 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 Rhiannon. Guardian of the South, keeper of fire, I invoke the elements and the spirits of fire to join us now. Queen of the Fae, she that knows love is the way, she who teaches us through righteous rage that love is the result of processed rage. When rage becomes fuel, it is actions of love. It is empowered actions of the heart. She reminds you to express your rage, to stand up for yourselves, that fighting does not make you any less loving when you are standing up for yourself and burning away darkness the way fire burns away the old and clears a path for new green growth to emerge. She's reminding us that we have seen this within fires of years past, that it may come through and leave us in tears on our knees as it burns away the beauty of what we once were one with. And then as the years pass, green sprouts arise and new trees grow and beauty returns. She reminds you that the fire does not only destruct, it nourishes, it feeds when utilized in a healthy way. Holding the anger has never served us. Express your anger in the moments. Don't hold it and wait. Express it, shift it, and allow it to be the fuel of love that leads the way. Bless us as we call your name, Anya, 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 Anya. Guardian of the Southwest, keeper of mystery, she who has walked with her daughters, with the witches, through the darkness, thousands of years of humanity, hundreds of years of being looked at, looked down upon, looked at incorrectly, being misinterpreted, being demonized just as the witches have. She reminds us to stand strong, to weave yourself through the dark corners with your light, even if they call you evil, because you know your power is rooted in love. Your message is yours alone and is not defined by how anyone looks at you, whether that be good or bad. Your role is to be the love that you are, to alchemize through your eyes the presence of evil, which the presence and darkness of entities and evils cannot remain within your gaze because it burns away evil. Bless us as we call your name, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene. Guardian of the West, keeper of water, I invoke the elements and the spirits of water to join us now. Keeper of the cauldron, goddess of alchemy, of transformation, joining us now, aligning the cauldrons of our body, our mind, and our heart. Reminding us that although we stand in protection, that as the water washes away, you will be exposed to the things that you don't want to look at within yourself. Do not hate yourself. Do not judge yourself. Love yourself as the water carries the old away. It is okay that you became who you became in this wretched place where evil resides. The spark of light within the innocence that is you has always remained. And as you wash away the old, you alchemize your body, mind, heart, and soul and energy to becoming a new you. That you are power, that you are love, that you are light, that you are part of the change just by standing in your power, willing to change, willing to wash away the old and not hold yourself captive to pain, to guilt, to envy, to greed. She reminds you that when the raindrop falls into the ocean, it realizes that it was always part of everything that is. You are part of the ocean of consciousness. Your individuality collectively, sovereignly changes worlds, changes collective consciousness. Bless us as we call your name. Caradwin, 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 Caradwin. Guardian of the Northwest, weaver of our sacred circle, queen of witches, mother of the oppressed, mentor of witches, deity who rises in our modern day in the unconscious of so many witches awakening to who they are. Reminding you to listen deeply, to go deep. Do not fear the darkness. As she weaves the sacred circle sealed, you are protected. You walk the path that only you chose sovereignly. You chose to be here at this time through your willingness to work with shadow, to become the light in the dark. You are accomplishing your soul's mission and purpose. You are protected. You are guided. Drink deep of the painful life lessons that are becoming your wisdom this very moment. Bless us as we call your name. Aradia, 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 Aradia. From beneath us, we invoke the loving presence of our Earth Mother to rise up and support us as we surrender to her embrace. We release the anger we have held and allow it to be recycled and returned anew to all who cast this sacred circle as the righteous fuel of love that leads the way and empowers all. Feeling into the soles of our feet, in our physical body, in whatever part of the earth that it touches now, connecting us, plugging us into what feeds us. Everything we have here on this planet is because of you, Earth Mother, And we send our loving gratitude to you for continuing to nourish us, to continue to support and feed and hold space for all of life to transpire. As you are misused, we will not misuse you. As you are neglected, we will not neglect you. We will love you. We will honor you as we honor our physical bodies, as we love our physical bodies. As we thank our physical bodies, we thank you. We call forth the indigenous from all the areas for each individual who's sovereignly casting their sacred circle today. We call forth the indigenous ancestors who walked the land before us in a good way. We honor you, we thank you, we see you. We call forth the ancestors for each individual sovereignly who is partaking in the circle casting. We call forth their ancestors of their bloodline who walk with them in a good way. We walk our path knowing that you support us, and we clear 7 generations back as we work our own magic on this planet today. From above us, we call forth our star brothers and sisters, the planets, the universal energy, the home of our souls that originated in the stars. We call forth star brothers and sisters to witness, to continue to energetically pour opportunity to our planet through the sun, the moon, and every other planet. Giving us that opportunity, we honor you, we call you forth, and we connect with you. Bringing your hands to heart center, your left hand on your heart, your right hand over top, taking a breath as you call forth from the recesses of your heart the child within you. Seeing that child step before you, taking notice of how they look, the age they're showing up for today, reminding them that you are their protector, that you will honor and validate every bit of their experience, for their invincible innocence has created the magic within you. And as they step forward, the center of our heart, we call forth the I am presence of every individual sovereignly and collectively in this sacred circle we cast today. And as we do so, we lift this circle up, up, up to the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness, where divine knowing and miracles take place. Rooted to the earth beneath us, consciousness open to the divine, we cast this sacred circle of protection for us, for the children of the earth, for all of the collective. We cast a sacred circle of light, of unity, of compassion, of peace, feeding the thread of love that connects us all. Whatever you call source or creator, we call you forth, the divine wisdom of the divine mother, creatrix of all life, awaken in the hearts of humanity. Awaken and allow us to lead our lives in a way that we honor the shadow that is being invoked, and we heal what is being triggered within us all. Heal that sacred part of us. We transmute the energy of patriarchy into a unity consciousness for all. ask that this sacred circle be sealed and cast and remain in this state until each individual partaking lies their head down on their pillow to sleep tonight, and when they fall into deep slumber, that the circle will be open but never broken. As above, so below, as within, so without, this sacred circle is now sealed. As I will, so mote it be. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, keeping your eyes closed. And a deep breath out. Deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle the center of your body. Circle your neck, keeping your eyes closed. Take in a deep inhale. Parting your lips, opening your eyes slowly as you exhale. Coming back into this time and space, this protective circle that we have just cast together. Thank you for being a part of this with me today. We don't allow any of the evil blood magic in our chat. I would love to invite everyone to type in the chat how you're feeling. Any colors of light that you've seen, you're feeling peaceful, beautiful. Thank you, blessed be. Thank you. So mote it be. You feel lighter, relaxed. Did anybody witness colors of light? Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the gifts, you guys. If you haven't followed me, please go follow. Watch my videos. Check out my offerings. So I actually have a new course called Activations. And I do a circle casting just like I did, and that is one of the activations. So there's 9 activations in the activations course, and they are meant for this time to support you whenever you need support. So they are a guided meditation that activates a part of you that needs activating. I don't know why my voice keeps doing this today. I think Spirit is really speaking through me because I have nothing to cough, nothing to, it's just, I keep getting hoarse. I love all the colors you guys are sharing. Please go check out my courses. I also have a course that is called 3 Cauldrons. The 3 Cauldrons course was made just in January for this time. And it leads you through transmuting all of your anger, your pain, your rage, and releasing the patriarchal threads of consciousness that humanity has woven into you. There are rituals, a womb healing ceremony. There is cauldron potions that you use for fire releases, and you align your body energetically. Okay, someone's saying that their little boy's tooth fell out during the circle casting. What's interesting about this is that teeth are connected to ancestral healing. So pay attention to that. That wasn't a coincidence. All of my classes are pre-recorded. You do them at your own pace. We have a Wix app group that is for all the women that take the courses. I work with women primarily because that is my specialty. The Wix app is only for Witch School members, and so you can share your homework there, pictures of your rituals, your ceremonies. You can connect with other women who are working on being sovereign as well. And it's a really great place to support yourself and your journey as a witch. Everyone who joins the Witch School classes gets access to that app. And if you only want access to the app, we have the Coven membership that you pay monthly to have access to that group. But again, it is only for women, because myself as a witch, I'm an initiated priestess of the Rose and of Isis, and my oath and vow was to work with women on trauma healing and healing from patriarchy, healing the witch wound, healing from sexual trauma. And we do this by reclaiming our sovereignty and learning to hold ourselves and align our own energy, so we don't become that toxic empath that we often see those people who have a lot of trauma end up becoming. So there is a link in my bio for all of my classes, my offerings. We only have space left for Practical Magic Retreat, so that will happen in October. Please do not delay. Sign up for that. You know, I know this is a difficult year for many, and people are afraid to make these decisions to do big things for themselves, but payment plans will only be around for a few more months for Practical Magic. So if you want to come, that is in October. Sign up today. Oh, it is 2/22 today. But you know what? Every month we have a 3/3 day, a 1/1 day, or a 1/11 day. And these are important, but I don't know. It's the calendar of humanity. So I personally, I put a little thought into it when it's brought to my attention, but I don't put a ton of thought into it, if that makes sense. But every year we have February 22nd, so it's like, yeah, it's 2/22. If it were 2/22 on a 2-year, I would pay more attention, because that's not something that happens every year, if that makes sense. But honoring numerology is a beautiful thing, so thank you for bringing that up. Does anybody have any questions for me before I wrap it up today? If you haven't read my latest blog, I have a blog. It's linked on my website. If you go to my website, there is Witch School. There is a blog that is a free resource. You can sign up for my newsletters, which are free information that you get weekly. Sometimes it's on the full moon, new moon. Sometimes it's just witchy wisdom. What are you wrong about, Jill, with Halloween and Christmas? I don't fully understand your question. My candles are making noise behind me. No, I'm a witch, not Illuminati. Thank you, Sky. Blessed be. I am a witch. I do magic, but not magic like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. And I am not an Illuminati member. I am a witch. All right, you guys. I am going to say farewell for today. I'm usually live every Sunday around 10:30 Arizona time. But go check out my videos. Follow me if you haven't followed me. Thank you to all of you who show up and support every week to cast a circle with me, and all of my coven sisters who join. And thank you to everyone who was moderating. I know a lot of people were stepping in moderating today. I think Marjorie was only here for a moment, but Haley, thank you for moderating. She Wolf Tarot, Erin, anybody else that may have moderated that I didn't see. Sometimes the comments move really fast and I can't see everything anyone's saying, but thank you for being a part of the community chat. The way we can come together in a good way is by making friends with people of like mind in the community chats on live. So I love when you guys connect here and follow each other, and hopefully I'll see some of you at my Practical Magic retreat this year. It is going to be so, I feel like the retreats this year are going to be extremely powerful because of what we are going to transmute and the collective energy that we are going to be putting out through those retreats. At those retreats, they are priming you to be your most powerful self. We do shadow work, we do healing ceremonies, cleansing ceremonies. You're eating clean the entire time, which amplifies your energy. Especially in Sedona, we're staying in a vortex area. Everything you do there is a spell in motion, and this is going to be probably the most powerful year of practical magic in Sedona because of what is happening and being exposed on the planet right now. And so together we are going to really work to shift that energy and be a part of the collapse of the old and the growing of the new, and people being held responsible and accountable for their actions and changing that. So if you have not signed up for Practical Magic, sign up. And if you haven't followed me, follow me. I usually post my lives on YouTube. You can find me there at Mystic Witch Harmony Rose. And that's all for today. So I love you all so much. Thank you for being here each week and supporting my work. And I will see you next Sunday, 10:30. And if you have any questions on retreats, please email me. Bless be.